Yellow, yellow, yellow. Oh man, what's up, y'all? Sorry, I'm late, fashionably late. Y'all know me. Let's see if we use this live, baby. Looks like we are. Let me put the link in the chat for everybody that watched to be able to join. He's a bad boy. All right, pin that there. Boom. All right, the link is up there for everybody to be able to join. All right. Yep, everything's working beautifully. Let's make sure everything else is working beautifully. Let's make sure some people that's coming in here first. Whoever gonna come in this bad boy, get to see it, enjoy it, be part of the content. Yes, like I said, I am fashionably late, so I apologize to everybody that's on the stream. Ooh. I've been watching a lot of Johnny Bravo clips on Instagram, and that whole thing is stuck in my head. Whole thing is stuck in my head. This thing don't follow simple instructions, champ. Boom shakalaka. Let's get it, shouted. Let's get it. Haha. All right. So we good. We locked in. All right. So what's good, everybody? It's your boy Brody. Thank y'all. What's up? Thank y'all for tapping in to the broadcast network as always. Before y'all do anything with this video, please do all the normal things I asked: like, share, subscribe, comment, click the link in the chat if you do want to be heard, want to be felt. And I think I got an interesting topic for tonight. Some a little different. And it's something that I've been seeing a lot about right now going on. This conversation that is. And it is about sorry. I had to drink my slushy, which is like the best thing when it's hot. But so something that I'm seeing a lot of conversation about in the NBA world right now is the international player, right? The FIBA World Championship is coming up real soon. Victor Wembanyama, which is drafted #1 overall by the Spurs, and is kind of being projected as the second coming of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Denver Nuggets won an NBA championship led by the two-time MVP and who I think is the best player in the world right now, Nikola Jokic. MVP of the NBA, Joel Embiid. The MVP before Embiid and Jokic 2 years in a row, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And somebody who is right now, and let's just say it, let's be honest, right now, the top 4 NBA players in a lot of circles, they're all international guys. So I wanted to make this video to not only ask the question, but to state my opinion on this. Have the international players, basketball players, that is in NBA, have they finally surpassed the American players in the NBA? And to answer that question first, before I go into some more reasons as to why I see this happening is yes, I do think that the international NBA players have definitely started to surpass the American players. I think the international players come into the league more prepared for the game, because they have typically played in front of grown or played with and against grown men since they were children in some cases. But also, I think there is a lot of factors that they don't have to deal with in terms of America and our culture here in America that makes them a lot better. Also, they are the type where they put their head down and they go to work. And we're starting to see that more and more with all the international players. Like I said, right now, what's looked at is probably the top 4 best players in the league right now. Is Jokic, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic, which is a very strong 4. But then if you also look outside of the top 5, 10, and you look into maybe the top 15, top 20, you're talking guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Pascal Siakam, who I think is a top 25 player in the NBA. And some others like Victor Wembanyama, like I said, that just got drafted number 1 overall and is looked at as a second coming. So I say all that, and I'm going live to speak on this topic to pretty much ponder over why it is that the international players have taken over, and what are some things about the American game and the way that it's taught that's creating these problems. And I got this debate along with all those things. I got this debate from Gil's Arena, which is Gil Arenas' podcast, that he does along with a guy by the name of Josiah Johnson, Brandon Jennings, who played overseas. He skipped college, ended up playing overseas, also played in the league. And then Rashad McCants, which is one of my favorite North Carolina Tar Heels of all time. Shout out to him. And Brandon Jennings, it was interesting watching that video because Brandon Jennings was adamant that if you had a team of the best international guys against the best sort of American guys right now that we look at, the international team might win. And I don't necessarily disagree with him. As I said before, I do think that the international players to a lot of degrees have kind of surpassed the American players. But I just thought the way the conversation, the topic was very interesting. It went about was very interesting because for a long time, and I think this perception is still there in a lot of circles, is that the international dudes can't be better players than the American players. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Olympics, FIBA basketball, international basketball in that way. Because Team USA wins all the time. It seems like they always win. And the thing about the international player against the American player in this argument is we're not talking about a specific country. If you just say, has Greece finally, because they got 3-4 players in the NBA, have they finally surpassed the Americans in basketball? No, clearly not, because we know that the Greece basketball culture, the Greece basketball foundation is Giannis Antetokounmpo. It is. In a lot of ways it is. And it would be hard to find any other players that could change that argument. But if we look at the collective of all the players that I listed earlier, I think that it is. And I keep reiterating this point because I think it's important. Because a lot of times these arguments come up and people want to talk about it like it is just one specific country. When in reality, it can't just be one specific country, because there's, no matter what, if we talking country by country, the only country that I think has like a legitimate shot of maybe overtaking the Americans is Canada. But Canada is Americanized in a lot of ways. So, you see a lot of people like Jamal Murray and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is another one where, yes, they're from Canada, but they went to college here in America. They played basketball on the circuit here in America. So their thoughts and their upbringings are a little different on the game, but they're still not Americans. So that's the biggest point here and the biggest takeaway. Um but I do think that there are some pretty key factors involved as to why it is that the American basketball players just they're not as good. Um so I'll list off these reasons, and I'll go into 5 reasons that I think this is, and y'all chime in and give your input. Number 1 to me is the teaching of the game of basketball. So overseas, you have guys who are playing against pros since they're 12, 13, 14 years old. And they're already learning not only the game of basketball, but the skills that it takes to play the game of basketball. And I mean every skill. They do a lot of skill drills overseas. They work on shooting, they work on ball handling and playmaking, they work on defense, they work on everything in its individual core, not so that a player can just stand out and shine and it be like one player that's doing these things, but they're doing it in a way that where all players are able to do these things fundamentally, because those are the fundamentals of the game. Shooting, passing, dribbling, defense, those are fundamentals of the game. And so the international system and the way that they do a great job of teaching that and teaching it early and just planting it in these guys' heads, like, yo, you have to be able to do a little bit of everything. You can't just be a dunker, like, yeah, you can be a athletic guy, but you got to be able to make a little bit. You got to be able to play some defense. Even if you can't shoot, even if you can't do one of these things great, we're still going to teach you and show you how to do every aspect of the game. Now, here in America, things are different. When you start the game off, when you start teaching the game, everybody's kind of learning the fundamentals together. You do layup drills, you do shooting drills, you do dribble drill, you do all these things kind of at the same pace. But once you hit a certain point and you transition over into maybe like AAU ball, or you play for your school team or something, at that point it's about playing a role on a team, and it's about playing a role on a team, and it's about who's the best player on this team and how can we make that kid stand out as the best player on the team. And it's not about, hey, let's incorporate all these drills and these teachings and these skills and really try to reiterate them to the rest of the people on the team. It's really at that point just about, okay, boom, we want to win, and we, the Bel Air offense, give the ball to Will and everybody move out the way. And in a lot of ways, that stunted people's growth in terms of basketball, because now you'll see high school teams, and it seems like a lot of the kids are just there to play a role. You have, let's say, the best kid on the team is a shooting guard or a small forward or something like that. Well, everything one is built around them to be able to score as much as they can, but also everybody on that team is kind of like just playing a role, a simple role on the team, not because they're, may not have other skills per se, but because it's about winning and about making sure that this best player gets their shine. So oftentimes you'll see, and I saw this at the John Wall tournament. Me and my cousin Mike, shout out to him, we went to the John Wall tournament the when was it? The first weekend of January? In January, whenever it was. And the one thing that I noticed about the games and the teams very, very quickly was that a lot of them played in a way to where you could tell the people that were meant to score and the people that weren't meant to score. And I don't mean that like, oh, there was a play and someone drew it up and, this kid had a play drawn up for him and he was supposed to score. No, it was, get this dude the ball. This dude is our scorer no matter what. Give him the ball. If he can't score, y'all just better get open and shoot the ball. And in a lot of ways it was sloppy. It didn't flow. There was a lot of fouling, a lot of it was just an awkward game at times, you know. But there were some bright spots where it was guys that you could tell had an understanding of the game of basketball. They understood how to play the game. They understood not only how to play the game, but to be in control of the game, even if they weren't the best player. And see, for me, I like players like that. I like players who know how to be in control of the game, even if they're not the best player. Because a lot of times those are the type of guys that stick around in the league for a long time. If you really think about it, you know, players that they're always in control. They're not doing anything more than they aren't supposed to, quote unquote, do. But if the time calls for it, nah, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of this in this moment because we need it in this moment. And so within that, like I said, within that tournament, it was a lot of that. And it took away from some of the players' ability to be able to shine. And you can tell that they were kind of upset about the fact that, man, they felt like they could do more. And so, you know, when you think you're able to do more, but you're not really taught how to do more, or if you're not really given that chance to do more, it affects your mind. I mean, it affects your mindset. It affects your play on the court. You know, you'll start doing things like, oh, let me just make sure I pass such and such the ball to make sure that, you know, I want the coach mad at me to sit me down, or oh well, you know, I don't want to do too much that I ain't supposed to, because and it's always this constant fear of being sat down, which is a part of the game. It's a part of any sport. If you play bad or if you start doing dumb shit, you'll get sat down. It doesn't matter what sport you play. But that was something that I kept noticing throughout that game. And it just said a lot to me. It showed a lot to me. It made me really think, like, man, like, are some of these kids even having fun playing basketball? Like, are they just playing to play because, you know, it'd be cool to be on the team, or are they playing it because they really enjoy playing the game? Um, and that was a big thing. Same thing with kind of like AAU ball. You know, you see a lot of clips and highlights on AAU ball, which has completely killed the teachings of basketball in a lot of ways. And I love AAU ball. Don't get me wrong. AAU basketball has a purpose. It's a great showcase once you hit high school and you're able to play on these big time teams and do all these things and travel around. It's excellent in that way. But in terms of teaching the game and really having people understand, how to play the game of basketball and not just playing a role on a basketball team, it does a real shit job in a lot of cases, in my opinion. So that's the first reason. We American players are not emphasized on the skill of the game. They're only emphasized on what it is that they do well, and they have to be able to do that thing well constantly. Which brings me to number 2, which is, and this isn't even just a high school teaching thing. This is even an NBA thing that I've noticed in watching a lot of summer workout videos, where it seems like guys don't really add things to their game. They don't really improve the areas where they're doing bad. It's more about learning a move, like, oh, I got to learn how to do a step back. Okay. Well, you learn how to do the step back, but you still stink with your left hand. Wait, I mean, you're not really improving yourself. You're just emphasizing more on what it is that you already do well. You know, it doesn't make you better as a basketball player. It doesn't make you hungrier to be a better player. It really just emphasizes that, I can score, so I'm going to learn every ability that I can to score these tough shots, because that's what I'm known for, and that's what the league calls for me to do. That's what my team calls for me to do, so I just have to do that. Well, dude, go out and add the ability, the playmaking ability, improve your ball handling, improve your defense. Like, and once again, these are the type players that I like in the league, man. Are players that every year it seems like they add something new to their game. Not a new move, like somebody adding a step back, or somebody adding this turnaround, look like a travel sort of play, spin move, whatever the fuck. But guys who go out in the summer and they work on the things that they struggle with. So you got a guy like someone like Jaylen Brown, right? the thing that I love about Jaylen Brown's game and why I've been so high on him for so long is because it seems like he's gotten better every year. And it wasn't him just getting better at just scoring the ball, but he became a better defensive player. He became a better shooter. He became a better shot creator for himself. Now he got to become a better with his left hand. And I see him just in the way that he carries himself and the way that he plays the game. He's going to be able to do that. He's going to be able to go into the lab, go into the gym and say, look, I'm going to get better at my left hand through hell and high water. And because that's something that I need to work on. And that aspect is missing from the league, period. You got a lot of these trainers and people out here who, sure, they train, but they don't go in and say, look, let me pick apart your game. Okay. I watched you play last year. You want me to train you? I watched you play last year. You shot this percentage with your left. You did this with your left hand. You turned the ball over, I don't know, 100 times every time you had to dribble with your left hand or something. This summer, nonstop, we gonna work on your left hand. Everything else, you solid. You go out and score. You go out and do this. And this isn't even just a Jaylen Brown thing. I just use Jaylen Brown as an example. But this summer, every workout we gonna do, we working on your left hand to the point to where you gonna be fucking ambidextrous. I hope I said that word right, because that's a big word. You gonna be that way when you go back into the league next year, and ain't nobody gonna be able to stop you with your left hand. Motherfuckers gonna think that you are left-handed at that point. You feel me? Like, we need more trainers and more people to do that, and not to. And this is like one of those things where it's not even about making someone mad, because you're gonna make, if you're a trainer, if you're an agent, if you're an advisor, if you're any of these positions where you're supposed to tell people and help people and give them the truth, you're gonna hurt their feelings. And don't worry about that. It's about making that person better. Because without that honesty, without that brutal honesty, without that realism and that thought process of, okay, boom, this is what this person's doing, da da da. Look, right now, you're just lacking at this. We got to get you better. If you're a true competitor, if you're a true student in the game, if you want to be a great player, you'll be like, all right, bet, let's do it. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, like, you can't expect to get better at something when you're constantly doing the same thing over and over again. You're not adding new layers. And that's anything in life, like this podcast and stuff. Like, every time I get on here, every time I put out a post or anything like that, it ain't as much about me saying, oh, I'm putting this out with the intent of getting 1 million views, or I'm putting this out with the intent of getting 20,000 likes or some shit. Like, I'm doing it because I want to get better at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether I have 10 people watching or nobody watching, it's about getting better. It's about building that repetition. It's about figuring out little things, little pockets, you know what I'm saying, that can improve yourself and improve your game. And it holds true in this, and it holds true on the basketball court. And we need more players like that to get better at the things that they're not good at. So that's my number 2, and they played off, and 1 and 2 played off each other a lot. So I'm gonna go to my number 3 right now. So for number 3, the death of college basketball. Oh, I hate it. 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 I hate to say it. I hate to feel it. But it's true, man. College basketball is dead. And you're talking to somebody who grew up. I grew up in a place where college basketball, even to a certain degree now, is king in a lot of ways, Like, Carolina, growing up, Carolina is my team. Carolina is still University of North Carolina Tar Heels, the real Carolina, not South Carolina, is my favorite team in any sport, any genre. Like, that's one of the teams that I watch, and like when they play bad, it legitimately like pisses me off. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are y'all doing? Even now, I went to college. I didn't even go to Carolina. I went to A&T. Shout out to A&T. the greatest HBC on the planet. But I still watch their games and I get pissed when they play bad. But the problem with college basketball as a whole is that it doesn't have that same feeling that it used to have. Like, I remember growing up watching college basketball, and you would get attached to the players because they will be there 2, 3, 4 years. So you could get attached. Like I mentioned Rashad McCants earlier in his stream. Sean McCants went to Carolina, 3 years? He's one of my favorite players, even just period. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew an attachment to him as a basketball player being at Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And now that's gone. Like these top recruits, these dope ass players who may not be top recruits but end up being lottery picks because they're just good and they went under the radar. A lot of them you kind of know, like, all right, well, they there 1 year and they go into the league. And it's almost like, what's the point of going to college at this point? What's the point of going and playing college basketball for a year if you just plan on going to the league anyway? Same thing with this NIL stuff. Like I'm so glad that, and not even just NIL, but the transfer portal. Excuse me. Let me correct myself. The NIL, hey, the players are supposed to get their money. They get paid. You don't really get paid. But this transfer portal, like, if you got to transfer to 4 and 5 schools, dog, you just not going to the league, bro. And it's okay. Like, even the pandemic stuff, which was crazy because I'm seeing, watching the tournament in March, which is the only time the college basketball is even valuable at this point. And I'm watching a tournament and they showing these dudes' age. I'm like, man, this dude is, why are we the same age? I graduated from A&T 3 years ago. Well, 4 now. It's 2023. I graduated in 2019. But I graduated from college 4 years ago. We the same age, dog. Why are you still playing? I get it, for the love of the game. But nigga, get a job. Get a job. Raise your kids. Something. Like, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful because, hey, if you have the ability to go to college for free, please do it. I'm not gonna blame them for that. But if you're going because you still think you got a shot at the league, give it up. And it's wild because even now, like, if you go to college for 4 years, it's almost that same sort of scenario, no matter how old you are, where you getting looked at like, dog, you're not going to the league unless you're like a special case. You get drafted in the second round, into the first round or something like that. But most of these 4-year guys, they're not going to the NBA. It's these one and done type players. And instead of forcing a high school kid who already is looking at the NBA, to go to college for 1 year, for what? For who? The NBA needs to create a rule, and it needs to be like baseball because baseball gets this right. I love the way that baseball does this. You can come to the NBA draft straight out of high school. You can. And if you're not drafted in the first round, you get a guaranteed contract. So you in the league. But if you're not drafted in the first round, you don't like where you got drafted, you can go to college. You can still go to college. But you got to go to college I think baseball maybe 3 years, but in my fantasy booking scenario here, you only got to go 2 years. Because after your second year, maybe your junior year, you might be able to squeeze out into the league if you was just destined to be a lottery pick. But after 2 years, the streets kind of know, like, all right, he going to be able to play in the league or he not. And the rule needs to be that simple, straight up. You can come to the NBA straight out of high school, sure. If you don't get drafted, you can still go to college, even if you're drafted in the second round. And this is me being generous with that part. Even if you don't get drafted, or even if you do get drafted in the second round, you want to go to college, sure, why not? But players should be able to choose which one that they want to do, because if not, we just constantly gonna see these guys go to college for 1 year just to go to the NBA, and it waters down the college game, because at this point, outside of the officiating in a college game, I mean, where you're not even attached to any of the players anymore. You're just attached. If you're attached to anything, you're attached to the schools, and a lot of these schools are proving more and more they don't care nothing about these players. They don't care nothing about these fans. So why continue to put players through that? Like, you could go get drafted into the military at 18. Why the fuck can't you go play pro basketball at 18? For what? For who? Because it's a man's league. In the military ain't. And according to a lot of these European players, the league getting solved. Which is another topic. It's gonna be another topic. It's gonna be another foreshadowing there. But it's still one of those things where I look at it and I'm just like, yo, the death of college basketball has been just wild. And it died when college basketball started to die in towards the end of the 2000s, but I say right around 2013, 14, whenever the lockout year was, maybe a little after that. Yeah, about that year. College basketball just completely died a slow death, and it's still dying. And with all these moves and shifts and shakes over these conferences and people getting paid and transfer portal and all that, college basketball will survive, but people aren't gonna really care about it like that as much, and they already don't. Like, the only time people really watch it is during the tournament, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the randomness of it, and the almost kind of the hope for a Cinderella story, because that's what we all root for. Unless you, like, for me, unless you Carolina or you A&T or somebody like that I root for, like Carolina A&T, everybody else, I'm just kind of hoping for the Cinderella to win, because it just be a cool story to see, like this past year where we saw Florida Atlantic and San Diego State in the Final Four. Like, all right, that'd be cool. Like, I mean, at this point, who cares about if the Blue Bloods make it, other than Carolina, of course. But other than that, I want the lower seeds to win. I want these lower seeds to be able to get their shine, so they put their school on, because you never know how one of these runs can change the trajectory of a basketball program. Because now you look at a school like Florida Atlantic, people weren't checking for Florida Atlantic in basketball now, but now, since they went to the Final Four, they showed that they got a good coach, showed that they got a decent little program down there, and it's in Boca Raton, Florida, which is a nice place if you want to live in Florida. Now you had people in the transfer portal like, hey, I want to go down there to Florida Atlantic. I want to check that out. And that's how you build things up a little bit more. But either, to make all that short, college basketball is dead. The NBA is the reason college basketball is dead, because for some reason the Players Association refuses to move and change this rule. The league is getting younger. The old man veteran, it doesn't exist anymore. You're not going to see any more Udonis Haslams walking around in the league anymore. And if you do, it's going to be few and very far in between. But NBA, please change that rule. So, because if you change the rule, even if you just say, yo, go to high, if you're the best player in high school, you want to go to the NBA, fine, go to the NBA. If nothing else, at least it'll be kids in the college basketball ranks that it feels like they want to be there. It feels like, hey, I want to go to Carolina because, I really want to go here for a few years. Not only do I want to get a degree, but I really want to experience what being a Tar Heel is like. Instead of, I just like the colors. I get free J's. I'm just gonna go there. Why not? Come on, and what we talk about here. But before we keep going, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. International players, are they better than the NBA players? I'm going through the list right now. And I'm at number 4. And 4 is a very interesting one for me because this is something that I think this isn't just an American problem. And when I say an American problem, I mean an American problem from the standpoint that this can happen to anybody. Let me say this. This sort of issue and this sort of situation can kind of happen to anybody. Okay? It really can. It can happen to anybody, okay? And that is the power of fame and the effects of fame as an American athlete. So, the thing about the American athlete that I think is emphasized a lot more than it is overseas, and maybe I'm just ignorant to it. Maybe it's, maybe I'm just ignorant to it. But what fame does to the American athlete. So, a lot of times here in America, we look at the American dream as getting rich. Getting rich, being able to show off all these cars, jewelry, clothes, women, and a lifestyle. And the problems and the issues that I'm starting to see, and it's in the NBA, and it's crazy because we're starting to see every spectrum of it just out front, kind of in your face, right? Let's talk about someone like a Zion Williamson, right? Yes, Zion has been hurt, and God bless him. I hope he gets healthy because anytime he's on the court, he's a beast. But the problem with Zion is that he can't keep his dick in his pants. Straight up. He cannot keep his dick in his pants. And not even just that, like he just sleeping with every woman, but he's paying for it. And he's paying for it because he, like a lot of young men who search the internet, see a lot of women who are naked all the time, who are promoting their sexual skills, if you will. And Zion has the money, like most all these athletes are doing, which he's no different than a lot of these athletes. Going out and paying for this, and it's distracting them. It's taking away from what it is that they do on the court. Like at this point on Twitter, within like the last few months, there's been more people talking about Zion's sex life and his baby mama. Well, his baby mama and the woman that's currently harassing him on the internet, who he had a sexual relationship with, as we all saw in them screenshots. More so than his abilities on the court. And it's sad that he's fallen victim to that, but he's not the only one falling victim to that. Look at someone, we see athletes all the time get exposed by women. And this ain't even just about taking care of children, because taking care of kids, that's an issue that athletes have had. And I don't even want to call it an issue because I don't even think that's the right term to use. But that's something that we've kind of known and seen about with athletes since they got access to crazy amounts of money. But now these dudes is getting exposed for trying to fly women out, for sleeping with women, even sleeping with dudes, trying to hit up dudes. And it's taken away from them on the court. It's taken away from them and their abilities. And it's bringing the focus away from the game. It's bringing the focus away from the game. So that's one example of how this lifestyle and these social media and all these other things. Another example, Ja Morant, who is getting suspended for the start of the season. Ja Morant is one of the most, if not the most, and I think he is probably the most athletic guy in the NBA and arguably the best point guard in the NBA right now. But he's so stuck on the lifestyle that he wants to live like a rapper, because that to him is the American dream. That is now taking him off the court because he feel like he got to portray this image like he's living this type of lifestyle. Now he losing money. He not playing games. He hurting his team. Other players and Ja, please, brother, put the gun down. Or at least stop showing that shit off on Instagram, bro. Nobody cares. Only shot, the only shooter that we want to see you with is the dude on your team that's open from the corner. That's the only shooter we want to see you with. We don't care. We don't care about the lifestyle that you live in. We don't care whether or not people look at you like you this hood nigga or like you really about whatever it is that you supposed to be preaching about. All we care about is what's on the court. And you done fucked yourself so bad with the gun shit and being on Instagram and not knowing when to turn that shit off and put your focus solely on the court that now you losing money and you're not playing in the games. And it's even gotten to the place where the coaches is out here doing wilding out. Ime Udoka, which was a completely consensual relationship, completely consensual. But dog, don't shit where you eat. And that goes to anybody, no matter where you work. Don't shit where you eat, please. Cause you just gonna end up fucking yourself in the end. But this lifestyle, portraying yourself this type of way, holding up this image, look at doing things not only for clout, but doing things that takes away from what it is that people really care about you for. That is a big problem. And it's not all players. Don't get me wrong. It's not all American players, but a lot of them are. Between talking shit on Instagram to fans and being real fucking emotional about stuff. Like I understand that you live a life in the public eye and you are critiqued constantly. You're critiqued constantly. People are watching your every move. People are clocking you for everything. But y'all are fucking rich playing a child's game. Child's game. All y'all gotta do is put your head down and play. Sure, talk to the media. Sure, do the media obligations that you gotta do. But put your head down and play the game. Stop worrying about all the extra shit, man. Don't let that take away from you on the court, because you hear guys like Giannis. You hear guys like Jokic. They focus is on the game. They focus on winning. They're not focused on Instagram likes. They're not focused on retweets. They're not focused on if they mess with the baddest bitch or not. They worried about playing the game of basketball and being successful at it. And the American players need to follow suit, man. Because you're seeing Zion and Ja and Jalen Green with his it's disheartening because a lot of these young dudes is misguided, and they need people around them to say, dude, worry about fucking basketball. Whether it's your homeboys, some people you just fuck with on Instagram and Twitter, or some people that you pay. Allow yourself to have a sole focus on playing the sport of basketball, because that is what you're getting paid to do, and focus on winning. Sure, championships aren't this legacy sort of thing, but focus on winning the game of basketball, man. Because that's what it's about. It's about winning championships. Michael Jordan is a great player. Probably, arguably, the greatest player of all time. I think LeBron James, but Michael Jordan is a lot of people's number one all time. If Michael Jordan didn't win no championships, people wouldn't look at Mike the same way. Despite what everybody may think about LeBron, no matter how they feel about how he got there, whatever. If he ain't win no championships, people would feel a lot differently about LeBron James. Same thing with Kobe. Kobe never won no rings. People would feel a lot differently about Kobe. But they won. Sure, they had other things that went on in their life, but it never took away from them on the court. And some of these American dudes are letting this shit take away from them on the court, bro. Real talk, man. And it's sick, man. It's wild. And they need proper guidance. Them agents, instead of worrying about signing contracts and shit, tell that motherfucker to get off Instagram. Take that nigga Instagram away. Instead of worrying about load management and all these other bullshit, which is, once again, something else I'm gonna get to after this. Make sure they focus on winning the game, playing the game. And I think that's the perfect segue for number 5, which is people's heart. You can just see it, man. The biggest difference between the American player and the international player, in my opinion, is a lot of these American guys, they play the game of basketball because they're good at it, not because they love it, not because they have a hunger and a drive for it. It's because it's their job, and they was just blessed with the skills, blessed with the ability, blessed with the height. But you look at a lot of international players, they love the game of basketball. They love it because, not just because it may take their family out of a war-torn or third world country or something, but they love it because that's the thing that drove them to get to where they are. It's being great at the game, winning championships, dominating. You see a lot of guys now, and I know Ben Simmons is an international player from Australia, but you see it this period as Vinny is barking in the background. I guess he doesn't like Ben Simmons. A lot of people don't like him either, Vinny. Hey, Vin, chill out. Hey, chill out. But he doesn't like, you could tell he doesn't like a game of basketball like that. He plays the game because it's his job. Like, and you can see it not only in him, you can see it in his body language. The fact that he doesn't have this emphasis on wanting to play. Sure, everybody has mental health issues. Everybody's going through things. Everybody's dealing with things. He's been injured. But it seems like he don't really want to play like that. And yes, he's from Australia, but he's as Americanized as any of them American dudes. Trust. He's as Americanized as any of them American dudes, bro. Same thing with someone like Zion. Do I think Zion loves the game of basketball? Yes, I do. But is Zion's heart in the game of basketball right now? No, it's not. Because there's so many deciding factors. Like, sure, okay, everybody's game doesn't love the game like that, but a lot of these dudes, they want to play in this big city to feel like they can get the love and the respect that they want. Like playing in New York, you can make as much money and be as successful and put a team on the map anywhere. You don't have to be in New York. You don't have to be in LA. You don't have to be in Chicago. You don't have to be in Houston, Dallas, hell, even Philly. You don't even have to be there. DC, you don't have to be in the places to showcase and lead and be the man. You with social media now, and LeBron proved this in Cleveland. If you are great, the money will come no matter what. But the passion ain't there. Sure, they turn their passion on and off. So yeah, I'm in New Orleans. This is Zion. I'm in New Orleans. I ain't gonna eat right, despite you knowing that is a big part of making sure that you can play. That's a big part. And yes, food is hard to avoid, but shit, for $200 million, I'll become a motherfucking vegan. I'll hire me a chef, become a vegan. Whether I'm in New Orleans, where the food is great, I'm in New York with the best restaurants in the world, I'm hiring a chef. I'm becoming a vegan for $200 million. Are you crazy? Like, but, and I was saying this in the group chat earlier, where Q and shout to Q put in the interview that he did on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, Zion Williamson, and he was like, "Man, I got to put the right people around me and this and that." And my exact response was, if he was in New York, he would be acting right. If he was in LA, he'd be acting right. But he don't want to be in New Orleans. So it's taken away from his passion from the game. And that's my personal opinion. I don't know the brother, but that's my personal opinion. But you see it all over the place where guys, oh man, I want to get traded from where I'm at. But I only want to be traded here, here, here. Like what? So you want to get traded? Or do you just want to be on another team? And let me rephrase that, because that was a bad. I fucked that whole statement up. Is it about winning for you, or is it about being on a certain team? Is it about where you can go and be the most successful, or is it just about being on a certain team? Because you constantly hear these players have these trade requests, and it's like, oh well, like Damian Lillard, oh, I just want to go. Only place I want to go is Miami because that's my best chance to win a championship. Okay, but what if that's not the best deal? Like, who's to say that Dame ain't gonna come out? And like I said, I don't know these brothers, so I can't speak for them. But this is just my own personal opinion from the outside looking in. If Portland comes out next year with Dame still, Dame gonna show all his effort. He's gonna put 100% effort because he's not getting traded to the team that he wants. Yes, this is a business. Yes, it's about winning championships. And yeah, if you want to go and be the most successful, yeah, you got to get traded to whatever team it is. But you see guys like that. You see James Harden. James Harden's a perfect example for this, where he wanted out of Houston. So what did he do? He put on mad weight that miraculously got off of him in like a week. He showed minimal effort to play on that team, and he gets traded to Brooklyn. Goes to Brooklyn, plays there for what, half a year, I think it was, something like that. Maybe a little more, maybe 2. I don't know. He got traded a lot within that span. And when he wanted to get traded, what did he do? Did the same thing. Again, to force the hand of the team. And it really makes me question, like, yo, how passionate about the game are you? Like, is it really just about, oh, I just want to go to this team? Or is it about, hey, I want to win every night because no matter what team it is that I'm on? Because if I was in the league, truthfully, even if I did want to get traded, like if I did really want to get traded from a team, I was the best player on the team. We didn't work. We never got it to that point where we could win a championship. Now I want out. I'm still gonna go out there and show effort. I'm still gonna go out there and put on for my teammates. I'm still gonna play my best because that's what the game is about. It ain't just about you. It's about the team. And that's lost. It's a lot of individuality because people's passions aren't necessarily all the way into the game. It's a lot of individuality. It's a lot of me. It's a lot of, well, you know, I can't play tonight. Well, why can't you play? Well, I just need some rest. Nigga, your team is in 8th place. The fuck you resting for? Like, what are you resting for? You're an athlete. You're supposed to be an athlete. Sure, the risk may be a little higher to get hurt if you play more games. But that's a part of being an athlete. It comes with the territory. So that is something that is grinds my gears so much because it takes away from the game. It now turns everything into a fucking wrestling storyline instead of what it's about, which is the game. Who's winning, who's losing, who's playing well, who's not. And it seems like a lot of the American players now, especially the younger ones, seems like a lot of them don't understand that. A lot of them come into the league. It's about the money. It's about the fame. It's about the lifestyle. It's about them. And then if they're good enough, it becomes about them some more. And this isn't one of those scenarios where, and like I said, I think people look at guys without championships different. But if you played your whole career and you was killing it, I'm going to respect that. Sure, you didn't win championships, but at least I know for sure that you went out there and you tried your best to win one. Sure, we may not look at you the same way we look at Kobe. We may not look at you the same way we look at Mike. We might not look at you the same way we look at LeBron or Kareem or Magic or any of these other guys that have rings. But there's no doubt denying you as a player if you that good. Like, dang, you top 75. Go try to win a ring, sure, but to force the hand of your team, that's selfish. Because you're hurting not only yourself, but the team. Because, all right, you want to go to Miami? Fine. We'll trade you Miami. But Miami going to have to give us a haul, a U-Haul truck full of draft picks and players that made the Miami Heat. And now it's 3 dudes. And sure, y'all going to be good, but y'all going to have to get a bunch of just random hodgepodge of role players. How much of a chance y'all really got? Because you want to get traded specifically to this one team and one team only. It's a lot of me. It's a lot of individualism, man. It's a lot of individualism. And a lot of that individualism, I don't even know if that's a word. If it is, great. That's a big word, SAT word for all my high school students who may be watching. Is that I don't even fucking know. I don't even remember taking the SAT. I don't even know why I said that. I don't even remember taking the SAT my damn self. But in a lot of ways, the individualism in the game, it makes me question if dudes is really passionate about the game or if it really is just about them. And it grinds my gears. It hurts my soul. And I think it's something that the game that has messed the game up and has set it back. Because back in the day, and I don't even say all the way back in the day, back in from like the 2000s and before, it was about winning, and you knew it was constantly about winning. No matter what team somebody played for, no matter how frustrated they got with that team, it felt like it was always about winning. And now it sometimes it just doesn't feel that way. Sometimes it does truly feel like I gotta turn this and flip this so it's about me. And it creates great Twitter content, great content like this, you know. But as a fan of just straight up basketball, it's hard to watch, it's hard to see, hard to take in. Pause. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts. That is why I feel like the international players have surpassed the American players in a lot of ways. Because honestly, everything that I just listed, you don't really see those issues with the international players when they come over here. You just don't. And if you do, it's few and far in between. And truth be told, if you want to be real, the ones that are like that, they're Americanized. Like they're Americanized. So it's almost like I don't want to say it's almost like they're from here, but they have an attitude like someone from here. But who knows? We'll see how things go. We'll see how the league progresses. FIBA World Championship is coming up in a few weeks. I looked at Team USA, and if some of these superstars and the international ranks, especially Canada, they play, Team USA is gonna be in trouble. We're gonna lose, and I'll lay that prediction out right here, right now. I think Team USA will lose in the FIBA World Championship. At least one game. Even if they don't lose the gold or whatever, they're gonna lose at least one or two games for sure. And more power to them, bro. More power to them, man. But those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. What do y'all think? Y'all think that the international players in the NBA have surpassed the NBA players, or do you think that the American players, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. Do you think that the international players have surpassed the American players in the NBA, or do you still think the American players are winning? Because I don't see it. I think as the league, the newer generation of the league comes in, we're going to see a lot of those principles from the AAU ball where it is just about one person being the best, and that's kind of it. We're going to see a lot of those principles come into the NBA, and it's already ruined the style of play. No longer are you able to be physical, you know, be able to push people around and some of the old school defensive things that really made the game exciting, really took it back to the essence of what the game is. We see a lot of those things have already disappeared from the league, and to the point to where a lot of the international players are saying that the league is soft, which I think is a big thing. And another reason why, because so much of the individualism, the league's gotten soft. But tell me what y'all think. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff that I normally ask with these videos. Next Monday, let's see. Next Monday. I think of a good topic for next Monday because I really want to do a topic to where it allows for the people to call in and be able to get their thoughts, share what they want to share, and have fun, man. I think it's a whole lot of different things going on in this world right now, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions. So bring them on here, man. This is a judgment-free zone. This is probably one of the few platforms where ain't no judgment really gonna be had. We just about the conversation over here. We about exploring all the areas that are within these conversations because there's people that are so afraid to talk about it, but I ain't afraid to talk about it. So, yeah. So it's been your boy Brody. Thank y'all for tapping into Broadcast Live as always, and God bless y'all. And I'll catch y'all later. Peace.